Exodus 16. In the last chapter, we had a sing-along, after which the Israelites finally got good water thanks to God performing a magic trick for them. Now they're in Elim with lots of water. So everything is fine, right? The whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death." I mean, if you're gonna go to the desert of Sin, what exactly are you expecting? If you visit the dungeon of death, don't complain about the shower pressure. Weren't they slaves in Egypt? These guys are saying we had unlimited food and free time to eat it, but now we've escaped and it sucks. How did they live this life of luxury back then? Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way, I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day, they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days." Oh look, God's preparing to send manna from heaven. I mean, he could do that right now, but God isn't satisfied until you've passed his loyalty test. Over and over and over again. He just helped these slaves escape, and now he's forcing them to do all the things they had to do as slaves. Doesn't seem very generous to me. So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, "In the evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumblings against him. Who are we that you should grumble against us?" Moses also said, "You will know that it was the Lord when he gives you meat to eat in the evening, and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord." Why would they thank the Lord for food when they're the ones who have to gather it? It's not just appearing out of nowhere. And what's with the guilt trip? We'll feed you and then you'll know it was God, because your stomachs are too damn loud, even though you're in the desert and haven't eaten for a while, and that's a perfectly normal response. Notice something else here too. Moses is telling them, if you're complaining about me, you're really complaining about God. That weapon to shut down criticism has been used by religious leaders ever since. Then Moses told Aaron, "Say to the entire Israelite community, 'Come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling.'" You say it. You're right there. While Aaron was speaking to the whole Israelite community, they looked toward the desert, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. Christians often get mad when you say God is a guy who lives in the clouds, because they'll say that's a childish interpretation of God. And yet, here is God literally appearing in the clouds. The Lord said to Moses, "I have heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God." God, you're right there. You do it. Stop outsourcing the one thing you could do to make the entire Bible obsolete. Just talk to them. Also, Moses already said all this. Was God not listening? God is being very tolerant of the doubting Israelites. He committed multiple genocides against the Egyptians for doubting him. But when the Israelites do it, he's like, "Come on, you guys, stop it. Here, I'll do another trick. Do you believe in me yet? No? Come on." That evening, Quail came and covered the camp. And in the morning, there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Everyone is to gather as much as they need. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent. So they were expecting food and drink, and they got birds and dew droplets? What a disappointment. Also, quail, like other birds, migrate. So enjoy the food, I guess, because you're not gonna have it for long. Actually, you know what Christian scholars say those thin flakes were, under the assumption that any of this actually happened? They say it's probably the dried poop left behind from insects that fed on the trees in that region. It's the only thing that would fit the description. That is what they say God gave the Israelites as a gift. And in case you're wondering, an omer is about 3 pounds of food, or roughly 3 liters, give or take, because even the Bible didn't use the metric system. The Israelites did as they were told. Some gathered much, some little, and when they measured it by the omer, the one who gathered much did not have too much, and the one who gathered little did not have too little. Everyone had gathered just as much as they needed. The Bible, now with all the moral heft of Goldilocks. Then Moses said to them, "No one is to keep any of it until morning." So they just gathered all this food, but Moses says they can't eat it until the morning. But it's fresh. It's good. No one wants to eat food that's been sitting outside for hours in a giant heap. Nothing good will come of this. However, some of them paid no attention to Moses. They kept part of it until morning, but it was full of maggots and began to smell. So Moses was angry with them. Who cares if Moses was angry? Look at what happened to the leftovers. It's all disgusting. They should be thrilled they ate some of the food before it all went bad. Each morning, everyone gathered as much as they needed, and when the sun grew hot, it melted away. On the 6th day, they gathered twice as much, 2 omers for each person, and the leaders of the community came and reported this to Moses. He said to them, "This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow is to be a day of Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. So bake what you want to bake and boil what you want to boil. Save whatever is left and keep it until morning." Being free sounds boring as hell. All you do is work, then work more because of an arbitrary rule God made up, then cook. And for what? Quail? No thank you. Not worth it. This rule is absolutely stupid. They're gathering twice as much food on day 6 so they can rest on day 7, but why not just tell them to gather a little more food on all the other days instead of procrastinating until the end? So they saved it until morning, as Moses commanded, and it did not stink or get maggots in it. "Eat it today," Moses said, "because today is a Sabbath to the Lord. You will not find any of it on the ground today. 6 days you are to gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, there will not be any." Thanks, Moses, for this maggotless food that's just been sitting in a pile overnight. We'll undoubtedly get food poisoning, but at least this stuff doesn't smell. Nevertheless, some of the people went out on the 7th day to gather it, but they found none. Then the Lord said to Moses, "How long will you refuse to keep my commands and my instructions? Bear in mind that the Lord has given you the Sabbath. That is why on the 6th day he gives you bread for 2 days. Everyone is to stay where they are on the 7th day. No one is to go out." So the people rested on the 7th day. Jesus! They went for a walk and God threw a hissy fit. Get yourself a savior who doesn't control your life. And what commands is Moses refusing? God hasn't given the commandments yet. He's getting very confused in his old age. The people of Israel called the bread manna. It was white, like coriander seed, and tasted like wafers made with honey. Moses said, "This is what the Lord has commanded. Take an omer of manna and keep it for the generations to come, so they can see the bread I gave you to eat in the wilderness when I brought you out of Egypt." Okay, if the manna was smelly and maggot infested after one night, then keeping it around for your grandkids when you don't even have Ziploc bags seems like a bad idea. What are the generations to come supposed to do with that bread anyway? Cool, Grandpa, it's stale bread. Can we watch TV now? So Moses said to Aaron, "Take a jar and put an omer of manna in it. Then place it before the Lord to be kept for the generations to come." Where are they getting a jar from? They're in the desert. As the Lord commanded Moses, Aaron put the manna with the tablets of the covenant law so that it might be preserved. The Israelites ate manna 40 years until they came to a land that was settled. They ate manna until they reached the border of Canaan. An omer is 1/10 of an ephah. Whoa, way to gloss over the real story here. They walked around for 40 years. That's a long time to be lost. And they were eating the same crap for every meal? That sounds horrible. What did they do for 40 years? We're just skipping over 4 decades of drama and relationships and children and fights. Also, how did Aaron put the manna with the tablets of covenant law when they don't exist until much later in Exodus? This was supposed to be a 10-day journey. I've taken wrong turns on road trips before, and at worst, it cost me a few minutes, maybe an hour. How lost can you possibly get that your wrong turn puts you 40 years off course when you pretty much just have to go next door? This is Bible times. The map of the known universe is only like this big. And wouldn't you have seen the footprints at some point and realized you've already been here? Look, I greatly appreciate the Bible telling me an ephah is about 30 pounds of food. We never learn how God's magic tricks are done, but the Bible wants you to know it got an A in grade school math. True story. 10 omers equals 1 ephah, and 10 ephahs equals 1 homer. That's real. What? No one cares? I see. Never mind then. So we're in a very dull part of Exodus where everyone's just walking around, eating insect poop for 40 years, and not really taking God seriously because why would you when this is your life? But now they've reached their destination, so maybe they'll have a real dinner for once.